Well, we are up to item 9.4. I realize that people have other schedules happening here fairly soon, so I think we're in good shape with regard to our agenda. Anyway, so item 9.4 is the International Federation of Ag Journalists, a Congress and Farm Tour sponsorship. Matt, you had a perspective on that, I believe, right?
Yeah, so I'll try and summarize this, which has been referred to individual councils from joint services. So a request came in for sponsorship for the IFAJ Congress, about 300 folks coming to Calgary. Depending on the sponsorship level the community goes in with, determines what opportunities you have to kind of promote your community. As part of this Congress, there will be a group of ag journalists that tour our area. The information's all in the RFP there. At joint services, the pitch was to go back to the individual councils and look for a platinum level of sponsorship. So the $40,000 gives you exclusive premier event sponsorship, presentation speaker. You can see it there on page 2 of the attachment. So that's the request in front of council today, to consider joining the regional sponsorship of the International Federation of Ag Journalists and Tour for up to $20,000 with funding from the Regional Enhancement Fund. So that $60,000 that we saw earlier this morning, that's where we're recommending pulling some funding from. Exactly, right. So it's in front of you to consider whether this would be good value, good opportunity to get Brooks Newell region on the map in front of an industry that is really the backbone of our economy here, and could be a real good opportunity to build a marketing package around.
Well, comments, I think. Neil, go ahead.
Yeah, this came to joint services. Arno saw it, Greg saw it, I saw it. The three of us got a hold of all of you. It looks like an excellent opportunity. Apparently the town has referred it to committee. Right, Matt? I think we should take the $40,000, be the major sponsor. If we want the town, they can come and give us some money if EID wants in. But I think as far as joint services, we put money into tons of stuff that don't have the potential. This might not be any good, it's a gamble, but I think it's a really good one. So, personally, I think we should take the whole $40,000 sponsorship and drive this thing.
Okay, thanks, Neil. Greg?
So, yeah, I agree with Neil. I'm toying with having others involved with it. If we're paying for the 40 grand, that's us. So that's County of Newell. We're showcased. It's not Brooks Newell, it's not County of Newell EID, it's County of Newell, which isn't a bad thing. I think that's a good thing, but it is an awful lot of money. The second thing I wanted to say is, Matt, do we have sufficient staff workings in order to pull this off? Do we have the assets to make this a profitable for us?
Thanks, Greg. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'd be more comfortable if our team, Lisa and Mitch at Brooks Newell Region Economic Development, were the brains behind. If we go to that $40,000 sponsorship level, pulling together the presentation package, maybe being some of the folks who show up to deliver some of the messaging as well. But I think a lot of that stuff can get teased out as well along the way. But I think it would be very valuable to keep it Brooks Newell region. We rise and fall together.
Amanda, and then
I think it speaks volumes when we all work together. I think that's the key here, is working together, putting our money collectively to the same thing.
I think all of those are good comments, and I just had I played all my cards on this early with, in terms of, I think it's a great idea as well, and I appreciate Neil's perspective on let's make sure we keep I don't know what the right word is, high influence on how this develops, because this has a great deal of potential, I think, to be very successful for us in a number of ways, and into the future. I think it's quite, excuse me, exciting to think that we're having this hasn't been decided, but we've talked in principle about a communications person coming on board. What a inspiring thing to have part of, if we were so fortunate as to have somebody in place by then. Not that they'd run it, but just to be exposed to the different people from all around the world. It's a big opportunity. Holly and then Adina.
Would not Mitch be involved regardless? We do pay half the salary for joint services, don't we?
That's a really good question. The work plan for joint services has been set somewhat. I think there's hopefully some flexibility to accommodate this, but I think that's another conversation for how big is this going to be? What do the presentations look like? I mean, getting a couple of full-page color ads together won't be too much of a stretch, kind of a thing. But if the motion from council was you wanted to be all in and all Newell, that might be a different conversation to have.
Thanks. Matt, Adina?
Okay, so what do we do though if the city decides they're not on board with this? Do we still get to use Mitch?
That's an uncertainty, I guess. But Neil?
Yeah, part of the reason I said what I did was there was some conversation at joint services that there's not several platinum sponsorships. If you don't get in early, you might not get it. So what I'm suggesting is let's take the 40. The town is doing exactly what we talked about over there. They've gone to committee. Like, you have to be able to make this decision. That's why we phoned all you guys, to get it done fairly quickly. And we haven't got all the time in the world. I think we could shop at least half of that 40 to the town and the EID. But somebody has to take the initiative. We can't just keep having meetings and committee meetings and we'll tell you next week kind of thing. So that where I'm coming from is let's take it and then shop it.
I think what I hear you say, let's not leave this uncertain.
Oh, that's
between now and
couldn't put it better.
Let's assume that they're going to come on. I know John was pretty, he understood it and saw the value, and certainly the value will be to the city of Brooks as much as the county, really, although it's not differentiable. I don't think this will be great for the county, but I think a few things. It's going to take some additional expenditure or resources, because one of the things I think we need to spend some time very deliberately. What's the message? You know, and who is it from? Like, there's consideration of touring the plant. Well, maybe, but it's the people at the plant that are a highlight. Not necessarily. I mean, there's big plants like that in various parts of the world, but the people in this community it's a big deal. When you're marketing to international journalists and agriculture journalists, I think it has potential, if we do it the right way, to even be a recruiting opportunity at some level. And like Neil said, it's a gamble. There's no guaranteed outcome, but nothing ventured, nothing gained. And this is one that's knocking on our door. And we get, if I understand the agenda correctly, we get the night of the 26th at Lake Newell or wherever we want to take them. And it's late in the, I mean, you can help those people fall in love with the district if we plan a very good hosting opportunity at every level. Like, and you know, they don't need any free time here. We'll host them all the way through this, and then we get an opportunity to engage with them in Calgary and Olds as well. We really need to be strategic about that, I think. I don't think just getting it is everything. We really need to sit down and say, what's the message? And then make sure that everything we deliver contributes to that message. Kelly and then,
So I just wanted to highlight something that Matt said about the value added being a marketing piece at the end of this. That should be part of the planning. Come out with a video, maybe 2 videos, you know, marketing tools that we can put to work for various projects going forward. I like that
Sure.
value-added piece.
Yeah. Maybe a contest that invites people, international observers, to come to a website and further engage. I mean, there's all kinds of opportunities. Neil, you had a...
Yeah, the other thing to remember, we've got some extreme competition just across the Bow River. And there, what's the name of that, the corridor?
Highway 3.
Whatever it is, you all know which one it is. That's who we're competing against. And what they do in their advertising, they have a little map of the irrigation districts in southern Alberta. We're left off. It stops at the Bow River. So for $40,000, I think we should toot our own horn a little bit and make ourselves known. We're not going to get there by not being that way.
Well, and Craig Lester is the chairman of the sponsorship
And he's a local
committee.
kid.
I think we should engage with him before we split it, like early on, just to see how much we can leverage this. Because I expect there won't be many regions like ours that come in at that level.
Hopefully not.
No. Okay, ready for what's the question?
Nobody made a motion.
Somebody. Matt, go ahead.
So I'll just recap what I've heard. If it's council's will to fund up to $40,000, assuming partners will come on. Best case scenario, worst case scenario, you'll be putting the $40,000 bill. Eyes wide open. You could update that option 1 to read for up to $40,000. And then we can work with our partners to figure out the cost share if they're coming to the table or not. And we'll figure out details on planning the event.
Greg?
There's also, that's the $40,000 platinum sponsorship. There's also wining and dining and showing them a good time when they're here that evening. That's probably added on to the cost. So that just bringing that up.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll speak to that. There was some conversation about that around joint services table, and Alan Martins had indicated joint services committee's got enough to kind of take care of those incidentals.
Neil?
I'll make your motion.
Okay, got a motion on the floor. I really think that our partners will come on with us at a pretty acceptable rate. Go ahead.
I think they're going to come on too, like especially the EID.
Yeah.
And the town's logo is an irrigation shovel. Yeah. They didn't know it, but it is. We got to sell it and we got to run it. Yeah, I'm more than prepared to make that motion for the 40.
Okay. Any further questions? You're good, Ellen? You can hear us? All in favor of the motion, please indicate. Good, thank you. That's carried. Thank you. Let's move on to item number 9.5. Yeah. Councillor payment sheets adjustment. Dan, did you have some comments on this? Or what? $9.5.
I would just like to say, Dan, that I really appreciate your work in this committee, and I hope you never tire of doing it.
I would agree.
So we agreed on the standard of wait time and then the travel time, and it was everywhere. So what we did to standardize it, because we were all waiting the same amount of time and traveled pretty much the same amount of time. There's a little plus minus on there because some are half hour further away, some are half hour closer, kind of a thing. But we standardized it to 22 hours for the wait time and the travel back and there. So I had to adjust everybody's travel home to make sure it all reflected appropriately. And then everything else was just standard changes that some things were forgotten to be added in, some things were discrepancies, but it was pretty standard, except for that travel day.
Some people were leaning heavily on that and had lost track of where it was at, so that's good. Thank you. Any further comments? What do we need? A motion to approve? Yeah. Okay. Any further questions? All in favor of approval of the compensation sheet? That is carried. Thank you. Item 9.6, requests for functions of council. Do I have a note on that, or does anyone have functions of council to add? Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 10, committee reports, which are printed for us there. Thank you for those. Appreciate a number of us attended the AIDA conference, and I appreciate the 2 reports that are in there. I would ditto those and also say that I thought that there was a good networking opportunity with not only the Eastern Irrigation District representatives, but other irrigation districts as well, that noted our attendance there and appreciated the fact that we were supporting irrigation at a higher level. So that's good. Any questions or comments around the committee reports that are printed for us there, or I have the printed ones. There are a number of other committee reports we need to hear, so I will suggest Airport Committee. Neil, is that you? Airport Commission?
Yeah, I haven't had a meeting for 6-7 months, nothing.
Oh, okay. Dan. Oh.
Yeah, there's a new thing coming. I got it written down. The Alberta Air Tour on June 3rd. They're flying in and they're hoping to do a breakfast, and they're looking for volunteers to flip pancakes. I don't know about the flip. Basically, volunteers to run the whole thing. So yeah, maybe flip pancakes. They're looking for a group that maybe would be. And I've spoken to some of the cadets. They might be interested in then helping out parking airplanes and whatnot, which I thought that could be really fun if you let me drive the airplane. But anyways, that's the only thing that's ever happened with that commission so far.
Airplane drivers are called pilots, and that's scary if you're not trained.
Yeah. Just on the tarmac, I'm only letting drive them.
Thanks, Dan. Southern Alberta Energy from Waste Association, that's you, Neil. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you all got the announcement for the funding that they got. And then there's a meeting on Monday to further that, just so that everybody's on the same page. That's a giant announcement, but shovels won't turn for at least 2 to 3 years, is how slow this kind of thing moves. But we gotta stay on it, keep the fire going, I guess.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Grasslands FCSS. Kelly, please.
All I wanted to add there was, or to mention there was that I checked out the YouTube video of the City of Brooks meeting on Tuesday night, and I learned that Victoria Mulbire has agreed to be the executive director effective September 1st. Now, as a board member, I haven't received that information yet, but Marissa, Wardrop, who is also a board member, had that information from the executive director. So I just wanted to share that with everybody, that there is a transition in the process.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. Adina?
I just have a question. Isn't that a position that can be posted and, like, people apply for it?
Well, that's a decision of the board, and apparently the board made a decision before I joined. Were you a part of that? That you recall?
I never heard anything about that.
Okay. So at the meeting that I did attend in November, it was agreed that the Personnel Committee would reach out internally. And that was with Victoria Mulbauer.
Okay, thanks, Kelly, and for your work on that committee. Any other committee reports or questions about committee? Seeing none, move to, we don't need action here. Post-agenda items. I don't think we have any post-agenda items unless something has come to someone's attention since we passed our agenda. Neil, you have the...
Unless that's not trucking issue, is something the council has to talk about.
Under information item?
It's post-agenda.
Oh, right. You added, yes, that's right. Thanks, Neil. Go ahead.
Just read it and tell me what you think. I'm going to vote that they should extend their hours unless council thinks there might be a reason not to.
Pardon me? Yeah, 12.4. I've read it. I thought, too, it made some sense. Holly, more than that.
Do we know why it has been open less hours than the ones around us have been? Do you know of any reason?
I don't know. I'll find out. This just happened between last meeting and this one.
Yeah, I would say too, if it's going to
Actually,
hinder business.
I was talking to Smith, just having coffee, and they brought this up, and I said, write a letter, and here it is.
Okay, I think you'll take that forward.
Yeah, do what I can.
Sounds good. Okay, good enough. Oh, Kelly, please.
One question came to mind. How does that affect our agreement that's in place? Hours of operation, was that ever listed in our agreement?
No, I don't think there was anything specific in the 99 agreement about hours of operation. Yeah, so, and I would think if you can spend a couple of more dollars on staff salaries to receive the trash, if industry's keeping the trucks rolling, it should, that's a real easy economic development piece, right? And I think Sean will be fully capable of punching out the numbers for the board over there to make a good decision on it. The other thing is, it looks like competition's coming in with the Remedex piece, so that's something to be aware of. Competition's not a bad thing. It keeps everybody on their tippy toes.
They were apprehensive about the competition coming in the last few meetings. Like almost thinking the county should maybe not put that first reading through. But not all good out.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. And I mean, basically, this is for the regional landfill. It's not for the various other offsites. Okay. Right. 12.5, quarterly information package. You've got some comments there, Matt?
Yeah, so I just wanted to give councillors a heads up. I don't know how the auditor decides who to pick on each year, but just be aware our year-end audit's coming, and sometimes the auditors will ask you questions. They usually pick on the read. Financial statements are in this quarter 4 information package. If you have any questions, hit up Stephanie or myself, and we can unpack it for you. But, you know, auditors like to ask questions about, are you aware of any fraud? Do you trust people on your team? What controls do you have in place to make sure everybody's keeping their nose clean? You see payment registers each council meeting when they're available. We've got purchasing policy in place to make sure we're getting best value for our ratepayers. And then you hire competent people like Stephanie to do the books, and hopefully they're not cooked. Well, to be determined. We'll have to see what the auditors come back and say. Cliffhanger.
Okay. Good. Any? Go ahead, Holly.
Matt, can you tell me what what Abidata, a shapefile renewal is.
Oh yeah, Abidata, Q Roberta. So this is IT world. This is map information. So we share our map information with Abidata. It goes to this, I want to say Altalist. Should really have Roberta answer the question, but yeah, it's mapping, GIS stuff. Yeah, shaped files are what makes a map appear on the screen for you. So they hold all the different layers. If you want to see roads, or you want to see lakes, you want to see community halls, all of those would be a layer in a shaped file, kind of like Word is in a Word file.
Okay, any more questions? Go ahead, Amanda.
On the payment registry, I don't see it on my agenda now, but it was 12.2 when I looked at it. Collier project for the Patricia fire station, 13,230, and then another one to Armor for 54,124.60. I saw that again. I just would like to know some totals. Looking back, because I keep seeing these two names and what we've spent so far on Patricia Fire Hall.
Yeah, we can get that pretty quick to council after the meeting. We'll pull the project costs on that.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Holly, please.
This is likely a Mark question, but there was this Tilly School water leak that was fixed by Brooks Aggregates, and I wondered why it wasn't must have been Newell Water issued under there, why it was separate. I was curious why that was, if anybody would know. Maybe you know because you live near Tilly.
We'll look into that one as well, get you some details.
Okay,
You want to know?
any other questions? Seeing none, we're close to the end of our agenda. I'm going to look for a motion that we move in. Neil, oh, yes, thank you. Thanks, Matt. You grants for conservation easements. You raised that as a question.
It's under the Chamber of Commerce, and the only reason I raised it is because there's a provincial government grant helping people get conservation easements, and we're on direct opposite side trying to stop conservation easements. So it's just information. I don't know where you'd even go with something like that.
I think that we're not trying to stop them. We're just trying to suggest that they have a sunset clause on them, or get reviewed at some point. So it's a good point, but we're not in direct opposition. I don't think we're just, and it's partly those grants that tell me they should, or that I think indicate to us that it would be worth considering reviewing that program.
Well, I'm totally on board with the 50 years or 40 years, whatever.
Yeah.
Just information.
Yeah, thank you. Anything else? Motion to go in camera then. Amanda, all in favor that we move in camera? That's carried. Thank you.